So, Nate, to quote our good friend Viva Fry, how goes the battle?
It's going pretty good. It's going pretty good. We finally made the 30K. That we hit 30K this morning, which is fucking fantastic. We want justice, but it's weird because it's like it's not only justice for me, but it's like justice for everybody.
Oh
Like
God, yes.
Bouzy should really be worried that I could raise 30K in a day and a half. That's insane.
Yeah, I was thinking about, are you sure it didn't happen last night? Because if it happened last night, you raised between 9 p.m. Wednesday evening no, 10. It was actually well after 10 that you finally got the thing to go.
Mhm.
And after 10 last night, you may have raised $30,000 in 48 hours.
Wow.
Think about that. 48
Insane.
hours.
Insane.
And I think 48 hours is on a Friday evening quite often too. So good timing.
Great timing. So yeah, it's been amazing to see the amount of support. But we're just getting started. So for those people who don't know, I'm suing a guy named Christopher Bouzy, and his company name is Sentinel. Now, they have been sued before for defamation, but Mr. Bouzy seems to always avoid consequences. So this time, I want to show you what happened in Mr. Bouzy's last lawsuit, but we're not going to get into the details of that, right? We're not going to get into the details because the lawsuit is pretty much crazy and it's all pro se litigants. But I thought it was funny to look at what happened when they tried to serve Mr. Bouzy with the lawsuit. Because you would think Sentinel is this great company that you go to the corporate headquarters and you say, here's a lawsuit, and it's like, okay, that's it, right? That's the way it's been presented. So let's see what happened when in this lawsuit, this plaintiff got a professional process server to serve Mr. Bouzy. And we're about to see what happened.
Hold on. Am I spoiling it if I ask, is it kind of like the landlord trying to find rent?
Yes, but check it out. All right. So this is the United States District Court of the Southern District of New York. Obviously, his address is going to be blurred out.
Wait. Why would we blur out his address? I thought it was a business. Isn't that a public thing? He's got a corporate headquarters, right?
But if your corporate headquarters is your home.
Oh, it's his home.
Okay. That's an issue.
Okay. Well, yes, we're not going to reveal anybody's residence.
Yeah, that's what Bouzy does. That's not what we do.
Okay, I got confused. I thought he had an office in a strip mall or something.
No. Well, you know what? I don't know if he has an office or not, but this is essentially his home where they were trying to serve Sentinel, and you'll see why I think that's a reasonable conclusion to make when we get down a little further. So,
all right.
So this is the actual civil summons from the court. Now, for those of you who don't know, when you start a lawsuit, you have to go and get the summons from the court, and then you have to go and take that summons. You have to have a third party, somebody who's not in the lawsuit. They got to take that summons and complaint and hand it to the defendant, and that's what this essentially notice to let them know they're being sued. So when you look at this document, let's read that first paragraph. Read that first paragraph of the document, Eric.
All right, let me get back to it. I'm happy clicking. All right, a lawsuit has been filed against you within 21 days after service of this summons on you, not counting the day you received it, or 60 days if you are the United States. Of course, the government can take forever. Hey, well, I owe you money, government, and I've got to pay you now. But no, take your time. Just take your time. We're here for you. Thank you. Or a United States agency in bed with the government, or an officer or employee of the United States described in federal RSV, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. You must serve on the plaintiff and serve on this wording, Nate. You lawyers make my head hurt.
This is it.
Answer to the attached complaint or a motion under Rule 12 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. The answer or motion must be served on the plaintiff or plaintiff's attorney and Jason Goodman is who we are talking about. If
Yeah.
you fail to respond, judgment by default will be entered against you for the relief demanded in the complaint. You must also file your answer or motion with the court. Okay. So,
all right. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. One, you can just you physically just hand the person the documents, right?
Mhm.
Put it in their hand, and that's personal service. And so you've been served. That's the one that people most likely know. Also,
it's a preferred, right?
Yes. Also, you can go to the person's house and serve it upon an adult who lives there. So if a grown woman opens up the door, you can say, "Hey, here, I'm serving Chris Bouzy. Here's the paperwork," and then that would also count as service, right? Because you're taking it to the person's house and you've given it to them. And for corporations, obviously, you can go to the place of business and serve them, or you can even serve like the Secretary of State in some situations, if you're in a corporated business. So in this particular instance, the reason why the rules of service are so particular is because they want to make sure that you know that you're being sued, and the court can prove that you know you were being sued. So that's kind of why this process is in place, and it's very formalized. And you have to understand, if there's any deficiencies in that process, they'll make you start again, and that's also no fun. So on this document, this is the proof of service. So you'll see the bottom. This is the service agent or the service signature. This is the process server. Usually you get a company and you say, "Hey, I'll serve this person." You pay them a fee, and they'll have someone who will sign all these papers under penalty of perjury saying that this is how they serve the person. And if you see this form, they have multiple different ways that you can serve it. The first one, it says personal service of the summons to a party individual, and it tells you when did I do it when. Then it says second, I left the summons at the individual's residence, like I was talking about before. And you get the name of the person. Third is, I served the summons, name of individual who is designated. This is if you're doing a corporation. And then the fourth is, I returned the summons unexecuted because, and then they give reasons. Now, the reason why is because if people try to avoid service, but you can say, hey, like say the person can open up the door and slam it in your face. And you're like, hold on, I'm here with papers of service. Like, oh, you didn't give it to me. You didn't put it in my hand, right? So then you kind of write that down and then write the facts to show that, hey, we did everything possible to serve. And if the person is just so egregious, they'll let you do what's called nail and mail, where you nail a copy of it to the door and then you mail a copy via the postal service because the person is just being so evasive. And the court just sometimes can accept that as service.
Okay, I was going to say, is the server who's doing this, are they kind of an extension officer of the court? I mean, do they have a status? Oh, okay. That's what I was wondering.
They're essentially, because don't forget, they're essentially giving you legal documents and then going to the court and say, I swear under oath that I gave this person these documents at this time, blah, 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 blah. And again, that's all they do. That's all they do. They only check the bottom two. And then they give the excuse. Can you read that line? Which it says
3 unsuccessful attempts at personal service due to evasive defendant. Papers posted to door and sent to defendant by USPS certified mail. Yeah. And then
there's nothing. So now, as if they've done that, they have to give a hell of a good excuse to the court why they couldn't do any of the other ones, right? Why they had to do this 3 attempts, knock on, and nail it to the door. Why? And that's what this process service report is going to tell us.
All right.
So this is now the juicy part. Now, number one, don't take any of this as legal advice because every state has different processes for process service. So if you go to and say, oh, this is the one good for my state, it may not, or even for your locality, because sometimes each locality might have different rules. The federal rules also, for the federal government, there's federal rules for the process service, but just understand it's very jurisdictional specific. So just because these rules didn't work for this person, it may work for you. So you just don't know. So again,
how about this for general advice? Don't duck the court.
That's what they generally say. That
seems like a fair thing. It's like, if you're a person and somebody's talking to you, don't duck the process server. Take your papers, consult an attorney, and answer to the court.
So now this is why. So now we're going to read what happened with the process server, why they couldn't serve Bot Sentinel and Christopher Bouzy at the address.
All right. Okay.
Number one.
Unsuccessful attempt, January 12th, 2022 at 1:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at home. Blah address, 1:10 p.m. Mr. Bouzy responded to doorbell, identifying himself, but refusing to open door, stating he does not open the door for anyone. After returning to my car to take notes, multiple North Bergen Police Department vehicles entered the dead-end street, parked, and approached my vehicle. They stated that they had received a complaint from a neighbor about suspicious behavior. After I explained my legitimate purpose of civil process, the officers left the scene at approximately 1:45 p.m. Later, via defendant's Twitter post, I discovered that defendant had called NBPD and taken photos of myself and officers from inside his home at that time. I made a second attempt before officers left, but he again refused to answer the door. Oh, this guy's a genius. No. Think about this for a second. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nate. Okay. Let's go full screen. Let's talk about this. So,
all right. So this is the first attempt, though. We got him first attempt.
Right. The number one thing that Bouzy could maybe do or try to do is say, he's lying. Never happened. No. Nobody came to my house. He's a lying liar. Lie. Never happened. What's a good way to help substantiate a process server? How about if we call the police? How about they write a report saying, I went to this address and I reported to this call and I saw a process server and he's trying to serve a guy. And then, well, you know what, though? It could have been a neighbor who called. So, Chris, you're batting 1,000 in stupidity so far. So help us out. Because you could still say lie. And it was my neighbor. But no, you took pictures and you posted them to Twitter. So thank you, Christopher Bouzy. Thank you very much for winning Stupid Person of the Day.
Well, you know what? They have the tweets in the bottom. Scroll down. Let's look at the tweets since we're just talking about them.
I wasn't going to tweet this, but it is relevant to ongoing events. And now I want it in the public domain. Again, thank you. Thank you, Christopher Bouzy. Thank you for sharing. On Wednesday, someone associated with another lunatic linked to this group sent someone to our house. The man pretended to be a delivery person and was snooping around. Again, he could have kept the premise, but no. He had to call the police. He has to tweet it out. I mean, this guy's a moron. He's proving his own case against himself.
Here's the second one. Look, go ahead.
These people are complete idiots. Got a mirror? The photo I posted earlier is of a white male who parked a few yards from our home. We called the police after catching him snooping around our property, and then he sat in his vehicle. I am the one who took the photo from our window. Thank you again. Oh, my God. They ran his info and told him to leave after asking him a few questions. The man is associated with someone linked to the group.
He's a process server.
I know. Yes, he was hired to serve you, Christopher Bouzy. FYI, the police would never discuss any type of law enforcement action with a random jackass over the phone. Stop making shit up and seek help. So now we're on to unsuccessful attempt number 2.
Now I will say about unsuccessful attempt number 1. That's pretty clearly documented, right? You got police documented. You got him being there twice. You got Bouzy, I'm not opening the door. He talks to them the first time, doesn't open the door the second time. So that is a attempt at service. And I don't think there's any doubt that the person is there and attempted to serve.
Well, again, but he's helping this out. He's proving it. If there was any question whatsoever, Chris Bouzy managed to remove all doubt. I can say completely, there is no reasonable doubt. There is no doubt. There's no sliver of doubt because he confirmed every single part of it. And now it's documented 3 ways from Sunday, including by himself. What an idiot. Sorry. Duh. All right. Unsuccessful attempt, January 14th, 2022, 1:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the address. As in my 112 event, for a second I thought it was 1st to 12. I was like, boy, he really tried. But no, January 12th, I identified myself as a process server delivering federal court papers to Christopher Bouzy and Sentinel. I was in uniform wearing a process server shirt and lanyard/ID. No response at door. Vehicle with California plates in driveway. And there's a photo. And I think we scrolled by that earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, so nothing, no good drama there. That's just like meh. Unsuccessful attempt number 3, January 15th. So this is the next day. So it's the 12th, the 14th. So trying a lot.
Yeah.
4:10 p.m. Eastern time. In uniform, I verbally advised Mr. Bouzy through the door that I was a process server, citing the case number and advising him that I was posting the documents to his door in a clear, weather-resistant polyethylene slipcover. This is the mail. Additional information regarding attempted service, etc. Service by certified mail, January 19th, 2022, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, by U.S. certified mail to the address. Documents including separate summons for Christopher Bouzy and Sentinel were mailed to the address described herein, marked personal confidential and bearing the defendant's address as the return address. Copies of receipts attached. With the defendant clearly present in the home during all 3 of my serve attempts, he demonstrates clear evasive behavior, which would make personal service extremely difficult. His Twitter tweets, one of which occurred during my first attempt, include a photo of me outside of his home, demonstrating that Mr. Bouzy has clear and actual knowledge about this lawsuit and the personal service attempts. His online presence also presents as someone who is at home and online for 12 to 16 hours each day.
Woo!
If authorized by the court, electronic service of process or any other appropriate emergent action could acknowledge the plaintiff's good faith efforts at due diligence and proper service of process and potentially move this case forward. So now let's talk. Nate, what does that mean?
Well, now that means that that as the process server, if somebody's actively, if you're trying to show, if you show that you're making good faith attempts and the person's actively trying to evade you, then the court then allows you to serve in a couple of multiple different ways. Either electronically, you can email it to them, right? And that's like one of the ways. All right, just email it to them, and then we'll count that as service. Or they'll allow you to do with the nail and mail, where you nail it and mail it. And then the last one, I think you can publish it. Like, say, if you don't have an address, then you can publish it in a newspaper, and that would count as service. So there are multiple ways.
Tweeted it and tagged them. Would you get it then?
well, I will say this. This story, this part of the service, there's a little bit more context that I think we're gonna have to flush out. Let's go back to the document, because I do want to show you something in that document. You'll see the pictures of the address. Like, this is the process server saying, this is where I went. Go to the next picture.
Okay, this is the door.
This sideways. Is the door, that he's put in that he's going to nail and mail it to. There's the cops. There it is. This is when Bouzy, remember my photo, MP. This is a tweet. Yep.
Which backs up that other photo. And here's another angle. Another day, the 14th.
That's another day. Yeah, when his car was in the driveway.
All right.
There it is. Remember when they said, "Hey, the car's in the driveway." There's the thing.
Yeah.
And you could tell they were sitting on him, because they're like, he's been there. He's in there 12 to 16 hours a day, so he doesn't even come out the house.
Apparently not.
Yep. And that's the door that they're going to they posted. So you see, that's the one where they posted
the nail and mail. There's the nail
and mail. Yep. Even with all this, the judge said that's not enough. Crazy, right?
Yeah. So where does Jason go from here?
Maybe he can try to serve him again or something like that. Because you have they call it perfecting service, but essentially, the judge in this case was like, well, we know that you did all that. We know we've seen all that, but this you need to do more. Let me pull up exactly what the judge said, just so we can all be on the same page.
All right.
Now, but I want to say to you, this looks like service, no?
Yes. I mean, what else do you want him to do? Do you want him to parachute into the place? I mean, he's done everything short of breaking into the house, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what else? I mean, do you tackle him and say, here, now you have it? I mean, come on.
Scroll down a little. All right, so this is the order from the judge after this whole service thing happened. So here it is. Scroll up to that January 10th. Here it is, January 10th. Now there were two defendants because the person served multiple defendants. So this next paragraph, the one that's cut off a little bit at the bottom, that's the one we're going to be reading.
Okay, so this is the paragraph that's related to Christopher Bouzy. To Jason Goodman. I didn't know that there was another. There's two defendants.
Yeah, there's two defendants. Yeah.
Okay.
So it says the docket reflects that defendants, the Sentinel Inc., Sentinel, and Christopher Ellis Bouzy were served by certified mail on January 19th after several efforts to effect personal service by a process server were unsuccessful, and they give the docket number. To the extent service was effective, defendant Sentinel and Bouzy were required to respond to the complaint by February 9th, right? Which they did not. Okay. To date, no answer, motion, or other response has been filed by either defendant. So it says, as noted, it is not clear whether defendants Bouzy and Sentinel have been properly served. As it appears, only service was made by mail and not personal service. To the extent plaintiff Goodman is seeking to serve these defendants electronically, any application to that effect or any other information supporting facts that service was properly made should be submitted to the court no later than June 10th, 2022.
Okay. I'm confused.
Mm-hmm.
Salient question here.
Okay.
As it appears, the only service is made by mail, not by personal service. Mm-hmm. Was it not established that all human natural efforts were put forth to do this?
It seems to me that that's a reasonable conclusion. That they did everything they possibly could, and the court says, well, it may not be enough. We need more. I need more to say that this person was properly served. That's essentially what this court is saying.
Again, I don't know. I'm confused by this, but I'm like, okay, Your Honor, do you want the process server to break in the house? Do you want the process server to tackle him? How would you like the process server to miraculously transport this? Should he get a wizard or magician to put forth a teleportation spell to transfer the documents from outside of the building and into his hands? What kind of divine intervention would you require?
I don't know. I don't know what more the judge was looking for. Maybe she wanted them to try again. So like what I would have done is I would have paid the process server and go out there and try it again. Give me three more attempts, and then we'll turn that in. And if we can't get them, we'll say, here, judge, here's another. Now we've done 6 times, and we mailed it again, and then we'll just, hey, we're going to try this. We're going to try this about 6 more times just to see. And then June comes around. Hey, judge, we've done this 6 times. We've nailed it. Boom, boom, boom. He's obviously no, but this is what Goodman did put forward, because he did answer this. He did put something to show that they tried one last time to serve Bouzy and to see if the court would do it. Here it is. And remember, the court said do it by June 10th. He actually placed this on June. He actually submitted this June 9th to the court. So this is what Goodman submitted June 9th.
Proof of service of the process. All right.
Now, again, service is to notify you that you're being sued. So you know what Bouzy was doing? This is what he did between the time that they attempted to serve him and the end.
He posted it?
Read it.
I'm not worried about a pro se lawsuit filed by a conspiracy theorist who was admonished by 3 separate federal judges, suspended by Twitter twice, suspended by YouTube 5 times, and is currently involved in 7 separate lawsuits. I only worry about things that matter. He served. I mean, sharing the document. Doesn't this guy kind of prove possession?
Well,
and knowledge that he's been served? I mean,
so but the court's saying it's unclear whether he was served or not. It's unclear.
Um, um, I'm speechless. That's it. No, I'm speechless, and I'm done. What do you think? Tell us, because this is nuts. I have nothing more to say on it.
So, at this point, does the court believe Mr. Bouzy was served? Is this case in default? Now, you can look at it one or two ways. The court may want to just be very protective and say, no, we want to make sure he knew. But this is just such a wild, interesting case. Now, the case nobody's filed for default judgment or anything, so we don't know how the case is going to progress. But I just found it to be interesting. Like, if this was such a legitimate corporation, why the hell would you run one from service? Right? Why would you run it from service like this, right? If you honestly had attorneys to fight this type of stuff, why not, give it to those guys? This just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And taunt. I mean, it's like, I don't know if it is or not, but it's like he's getting close to further defaming. If he did to begin with, if this is a defamation, he's sitting there on Twitter commenting on it in a not good manner.
Yeah. And doing this. So it's crazy. But again, at the end of the day, was he served? That's the big question. If you believe he was served, then there's a possibility this case is in default. If you believe he wasn't served, then they're probably going to have to do it all again. So who really knows? And now the problem is that also defamation is a 1-year statute of limitations. You know what? It showed me a couple of things. Number one, this is all from someone's house, right? This is all from someone's house. The CEO and president of Sentinel, this is 16 hours a day he's in this house. There's no team. This is just somebody at his house doing this. That's essentially what this seems to be. Because don't forget, they were serving bot Sentinel and Bouzy.
Yep.
Right. They were serving them both. So, and that was the address. That was the home address for both. So it makes you think, what was the mainstream media thinking by essentially saying this guy's something that he's not? They're saying this guy's some type of expert, but it's obviously he's not in this field. What do you think?
He's as much of an expert as I am. And I freely admit I'm broadcasting from my house.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean he's not good at what he does, right? That just means that,
Oh, I'm sure we can argue that with other content he's put out.
No, well, I would say just based on what I'm seeing, it's just there's so many red flags here, right? Company just opened up. You're really running out your house. You're telling people there's this big type of machine behind it, but right now we found out that it's really from your home. So it's just there's so many things here. It's just like, what's really going on? So we don't know, but it seems like Mr. Bouzy doesn't like to get sued. And in fact, he seems to be running from the process server. But have you ever seen anything like this where somebody who's pretends to be so affluential is so scared of court documents?
Oh God. Well, okay. I'm not sure who is worse, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments, folks. Who's worse, Bouzy or the judge, for God's sake? Because what do you need? I mean, I'm serious. What do you need?
I don't know what you need.